And on the side of Elevate, immediately opting to take away that Thanatos. Really strong pick to remove from the board altogether. You never know whether it's going to go solo or jungle. We've seen some strong jungle performances on it already. And Medusa Zeus as well. Just a lot of these predominant first pick choices taken off the board immediately.
Yeah, a lot of times we'll see this team, one team or another, opt for some respect bans or just a ban against their type of strategy or playstyle. Here, this is just, these 4 choices are a little too strong, so let's take them away. Thoth, Zeus, Dusa, and Thanatos banned out. Ratatasker, the first selection for Elevate, no real surprise there. Odin and Sylvanas. Odin has really been very popular lately.
That Odin combination with the Sylvanas, when you're trapping somebody into the knockup AoE ultimate, that can be pretty devastating to deal with, especially when you consider that Ratatasker, Amir, and Poseidon now don't have the greatest escapes when it comes to getting away from that Odin.
Why do we see Elevate pick the Poseidon into the Odin? The Ymir I don't mind as much, because if you get trapped in the Odin ring, you just kind of hit the ultimate and nobody really knows to go in or go out either way. But the Poseidon just kind of gets smoked.
But the mentality is still similar. He's not as tanky as an Ymir might be, so to say. But at the same time, you do have your Kraken available. So if the enemy team tries to follow up on you directly inside of that Odin cage, they're going to have to worry about that burst damage coming through from a Ratatasker ultimate, an Ymir ultimate, and then the Kraken to finish it off. That's kind of just the cherry on top.
2 choices here that I want to talk about, Zhonghui and the Bellona and the Hell. So we get to see 3 very interesting characters that don't really come to prominence quite often. Zhonghui is going to be a tanky mage, likely to be in the middle lane. And Ao Kuang's going to show up. Did somebody send out a memo to show us all the gods we don't see anymore? Take your pick. Talk about one of them.
Sometimes you just got to mix things up a little bit, and it looks like both of these teams are trying to opt to make their own meta this time around, and especially in this set. I mean, it's the first set of your SCL for the season, so why not go ahead and try something crazy?
Ao Kuang's going to bring the execute that Thanatos does, but he leaves behind the early game that Thanatos has. So we're not going to see that on the board. Elevate versus SoaR Gaming, game 1 of 2. We'll see how this one starts off. Hopefully a little bit better than I did earlier. Shaliber here on the Diamond Zhonghui. We're going to talk to the admins. Real talk, though. We'll see how this one works out as far as these teams are concerned. And Dr. L across the way on the Poseidon is going to be an interesting matchup. But I am looking at Mr. Checo. Mr. Checo, Michael Checo. Checo is the new black. We saw thousands of names memeing this poor kid. And I think I realized why. Because he's going to play Hell in the Hunter position. I mean, realistically, Taco, I think that the long lane has really changed. And I think it's more of a solo lane, so I'm down to see some creativity. But I'm really excited to see the new Hell. Just off of what you've seen so far, how do you expect this selection to go?
He's not going to have a very fun time facing off against Apollo and Sylvanas in the early game, but Hell ADC isn't something that hasn't been seen before. It's just something that we haven't seen in a very long time. It was actually toyed around before in the box scene, but just a long time ago.
Yeah.
And
when she was a different character.
When she was a different character as well. So I think that Checo's just kind of trying to do a little bit of a throwback right now and introduce this nostalgic pick, but at the same time, Hell actually has decent clear. It's not ideal, so to say, especially not when you're facing off against such a heavily clearing duo lane, but she can hold her own, and with the solo farm, losing the buffs isn't that devastating, considering that she'll still be able to stay up to par for the most part.
Absolutely. I mean, Hell is expected to be played as a mid laner, as a mid lane mage these days. Oracles are going to be let go. Oh, they see the Ratatasker in the jungle. That's why Shaliber going to give chase. Shaliber, like I said, pointed out the rule break there on the Diamond Zhonghui, but he does have the hours to prove his worth. We're going to see Kaden come in the jungle, and that right there is the big difference between Thanatos and Ao Kuang. Had that been a Thanatos, that is a dead rat, but it's Ao Kuang, so he doesn't matter until later on in the game.
Yeah, not having a slow with the death sight, and instead just having a little bit of damage coming off of the 3, but that'll be swinging a punch pretty soon. And Shaliber on this Zhonghui, it's not that foreign for me at least, to see Shalabar on this god. It's a character
Same.
that he's 100% comfortable with. It's something that he likes running. He's run it before. And it seems like a lot of the picks coming out on the side of SoaR are just defaulting into the comfort zone.
Absolutely. I mean, Stormy here on the Sylvanas is a character that he knows well, and Zaxi, of course. If you guys watched the SMITE World Championship, you saw Zaxi on the desk. Here, he is on SoaR, hoping to make it as a player this time around. These guys, like you said, just very comfortable on the Apollo. So SoaR looking to go with what they know and what they know well, as opposed to Elevate style, which is kind of trying things out. Michael Checo on that Hell. Like I said, Hell these days is looked at largely as a mid laner, as opposed to the solo world that she used to be in, because her clear is a lot less dangerous. You used to have to walk to the side of the lane, sort of like a Shibalanke, and then max that 3 and drop it. Now, you can just maximize your first ability and just shoot out a line attack like any other mage show. So, I'm interested to see how this works, but less Hell and more mage in the duo lane, and really focus on the fact that the duo lane just isn't duo anymore.
My primary concern for Elevate and these bit of janky picks that they have coming out is they might not necessarily have the damage that they would want to try and fight back into an Odin ultimate or a Zhonghui ultimate, and considering that they also don't really have much sustain running for them other than the Hell, who is a fairly vulnerable target, especially at these earlier stages of the game, they could encounter some difficulties, but at the same time, if they're able to play around this Hell appropriately, it could become incredibly difficult for SoaR to find the upper hand in these team fights.
Yeah, I love the Hell. I don't know if I love the Hell into an Odin pick. I think that's a little different. My main concern, actually, I'm not too concerned about the sustain or lack thereof. It's not really a thought for me. I'm not really concerned about the damage either. Hell built the correct way will bring a ton of damage. I'm concerned mainly, one, the Odin is just going to smoke everything. And then, of course, the fact that where's the tower damage coming from? Lack of tower damage is really going to be tough.
Lack of tower damage could be a bit of an issue for Elevate, but at the same time, the tower damage wouldn't be too problematic, considering that they could just have, if they have their whole team and squad alive, a team can still siege up a tower just the same as what a hunter would.
It's just the fact of the matter, when we get to see these odd picks come out in the long lane, you just run out of you don't get that opportunity of, oh, I'm gonna split push during the team fight, or I'm gonna grab this tower real quick as I rotate. A lot of times when you see hunters rotate over to the fire giant side, they'll just, oh, the wave is here, I'll just poke down this tower, and you just don't have that. You just don't have that option. So it's a little problematic for me seeing that Ratatasker is there. Now, if you toss the Mercury in the jungle, you kind of have it elsewhere, but we'll see how it works out. Good wall coming out from Kenshin. Less looking for the offense and more for the defense, I think, the disengage.
Running this Amir with the Poseidon and the Ratatasker could be kind of risky, considering that they are trying to ensure that they can all unanimously group up and take on these early fights pretty safely and just have a really strong time going with it. And on top of that, if you've got the Hell swinging through on the backside, he could definitely deal a decent amount of damage.
Yeah. Absolutely. Here we're going to see Checo get aggressive, and one of the bonuses, I think, Taco, of playing this Hell is the fact that players aren't used to really playing against this character all that often just yet. I mean, even in your casual games or your ranked games, you'll find players that just are surprised by either her damage output or how she's working. And I think we're going to see that same thing here on the pro side of things. Checo on this Hell, he's going to have to depend on the fact that, you know, maybe you're not used to that, especially the way that one explodes, the first ability, the way it explodes when it reaches its destination like that. I don't think a lot of players are quite used to that just yet. And we'll see how the Apollo is able to deal with it, because right now, it's getting poked out.
At the same time, while Hell seems a bit, you know, it's really unconventional running it, but hunters aren't accustomed to playing against that. I mean, you've seen the mage ADCs before. You've got the Soul, the Freya, Chronos, even Vulcan coming through. Hebo a couple of times, but that hasn't been seen in a while either. But running against the Hell ADC, that's not something that any hunter is really familiar with at this point in time. So it's also a slight potential advantage for him.
Absolutely. One of the big things, I wanted to point this out earlier, but we were so inundated with the Hell for good reason, is the fact that Ratatasker went for the gank, right? He went to go find the big old gank on the Zhonghui, but already just too tanky. The ultimate comes out from Ratatasker. He lands on him. He hits him with the combo. And Shaliber doesn't even pop the ult. He just looks at him and walks away. No issues right there. Jean Kui, by his very nature, is going to be tanky and going to ask for Elevate to change their style up. So we're going to see the ultimate here come down on the speed buff. Nice little blink away. Here comes help for the mid lane, but by himself. Caught in the ring. Big old jump coming out from the medieval dock. It looks like Baronic is in some trouble. Kada starts off the match nice and easy. First blood going the way to SoaR.
Unlucky that Caden would lose his speed buff there to the Ratatasker ultimate, but at the same time, picking up the kill on him so Baronic doesn't get to utilize that ultimate is still probably a satisfying feeling.
Absolutely. I mean, you just gotta feel good sometimes. It's about that one. Here we see Checo's gonna have a good time picking up this buff as well. Easy peasy there for the hell, obviously. Mage is just more adept at clearing some of the AoE spots, and he'll head into lane. I wonder if this is the first competitive hell we've seen since her rework. I'm trying to think.
First competitive hell since the rework? I do believe so. It's definitely the first competitive hell we've seen in the SCL.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So, I mean, you are 100% correct in that regard.
As always.
But I also find it interesting that Checo would opt to prefer the purple buff instead of taking the red buff to match with Xaxis, but it looks like he's not having any issues with damage. That ability going straight through the wave and being able to proc onto Xaxi and consistently poke him out every single time, that's going to start getting really annoying, especially considering that the hell has CDR and it's only going to get worse.
And that's what I was talking about Xaxi sort of getting used to it and getting better. You see Xaxi tries to back twice, gets hit by it twice, and just... all right, Checo, and he just taunts him real quick. But when it comes down to it is the fact that right there, that's the first time that Checo was able to shoot out his magic missile and Xaxi just not get hit by it. Right there, Xaxi had to figure out how wide that ability is going to explode. And so he looks like he finally caught on, and he won't be able to get hit any longer. Odin barely escaping issues there on the right side, just dropping the ring and walking away. You can say that's a win, but the cooldown's so short that it's not a big deal. Here comes the Rat, however. Stormy, he's in some trouble, Taco. He's going to be cut down to about 25% HP. Shaliber unleashes the demons, and the turnaround kills plural are strong. Caden picks up the execute. It's going to be 201 for the jungler, 3 for SoaR.
And the classic Apollo, let me see if I can secure the last hit ultimate, shining through, but Xaxi not able to find it this time, but I'm sure that Caden's more than happy about that.
Absolutely, he's going to take that, and like we said before, the choice in the jungle here for the mage, Checo staying local, wants to see if he can get the steal, shoots it off, doesn't secure it, close though. Elevate watch on, or at least their duo lane partner does. SoaR taking the objective. That'll put them up about even now with the opposition, up about 420 gold there. So lead starting to catch fire just a little bit. But coming back to that conversation about the turnaround kill, we're talking about the jungler right there, Ao Kwang, and how he doesn't do much early game. If you're going to give him 2 kills, I think you're in a good spot.
He's going to start doing a lot of things very soon, especially with the 2 kills that he was able to secure so early on into the game. And on top of that, Ao Kwang with an Odin, that is going to be extremely hard for Elevate to keep trying to bounce around him, because you want to ideally heal up to prevent the execute coming off on the Ao Kwang, but how are you meant to do that inside of an Odin cage? You can't. So Caden is actually going to have probably a little bit of an easier time for whoever they manage to trap inside of Medieval's ring. And with Medieval having such free pickings on the enemy team, it'll be difficult for them to fight around it.
Exactly. I mean, I still think it's very interesting to try out this Hell selection against the Odin. Very curious picks and bans. I mean, there's one character you don't want to play Hell against, is probably Odin. Maybe Serket, right? I mean, it's just very... How does the Hell maneuver around that Odin ring?
I have to expect Elevate at some point in this game to pick up a Phantom. Otherwise, it will be really difficult for the Hell to safely maneuver around the front line or even the back line.
Speaking of the hell, we just saw Checo actually poke Zaxi out. Zaxi was down to about 10% HP. He had to back and then used the ultimate to get back into lane to make sure he didn't miss any farms. So right now, if you're looking at just directly Checo versus Zaxi and ignoring the rest of the comp, I mean, this is absolutely the right way to go.
And Kaden lurking in the jungle there, but Checo seems like he sniffed it out, and it's not going to be an issue for him to just fall back safely to his tower line and, in fact, just go ahead and back to his base.
Big vision coming out from Elevate on the left side of the map. You can see not only is there a ward underneath the Gold Fury close to home, but also on the other side, exactly where the juggler would come in to find that his way into that middle section of the lane entrance. So not going to fall for that one just yet is Michael Checo. He's at number 2 in the net worth. Well, he's flopping around there, but he's doing very well as far as the farm is concerned for him and his team. That's got to be a good sign because Hell certainly needs the farm. And if you take a look at the build, we'll cover her a little bit more because she's so important, or at least she's so interesting because she's brand new. The power coming out of the Book of Thoth paired with the CDR boots, I think is a nice look.
Nice look, as well as the fact that he's opting to build immediately into the physical defense, which is what you need to do on Hell. You want as much survivability as possible, and not to mention, it's going to make things really difficult for Zaxi on this Apollo earlier on. Even with the Silver Branch bow on his side, it's difficult to fight into a character that has so much healing and kiting because her movement inside of her light stance as well it's a pain to deal with.
Yeah, you get movement, and then the heal gives you movement speed on top of it. So certainly an interesting. I'm glad that you brought up the Silver Branch bow. This is an item that we don't get to see often, but it's because it has a very specific job. It's Ichval. That's all it is. But it's Ichval for magical opposition. So instead of stripping the physical power, you're stripping magical power. And that's pretty much just the idea. So a little bit of a change there from Zaxi. Shouts to him and his knowledge. Understanding that the rarely purchased item is not a useless one.
Hunter's really not accustomed to having to be concerned about that item right now. It's typically an item you get if you want to try and focus down a mid laner that's been problematic or something like that. But to have to pick it up because you're against a Hell ADC, that's probably not what Zaxi was expecting. And Checo potentially in a little bit of damage here, but the cleanse.
Yep.
The cleanse just coming through clutch, completely preventing Stormy from finding the route onto him and just getting him out of whatever trouble might have been coming his way.
So slippery. Checo clearly has put the time into this character, whether it's the old iteration and the new one. Really the only thing, very few things changed about the character, but it's very interesting how the character has changed. The way she is played is changed very differently. But that cleanse coming through in the clutch, and I expect we're going to see that happen a lot. That's going to really allow her and her teammates, too. You can target teammates for some reason. Very strong ability, very strong character. And Michael Checo proving his worth here, chasing Zaxi all the way to the tier 2. Here comes Dr. L, and Baronic going to deliver the prescription. Elevate find their first kill of the contest off of the power of the duo lane. They're going to farm up the enemy buff as well. Behind the enemy tower, Elevate pushed up on all sides of the map.
So unfortunate that Zaxi would die there with his ultimate, but really smart play by Checo to keep chasing him through the tower so that he didn't have time to try and channel it, because it does take a little bit of wind up, and right now Stormy is the one who's dying to the Poseidon ultimate.
No wind up there, instantaneous death. Shaliber dropping the ghost as well, trying to run away here. SoaR on the back foot, finds a little bit of a slow as he turns around. That's a huge chunk of life! Shaliber loses a quarter of his HP bar as Michael Checo just glances in his direction. Baronic goes the extra mile, dives the tower, takes the kill, and he ties it up. At least as far as the kills are concerned, but more importantly, the gold separated by 2K, Elevate in the lead, looking to stretch it. They've got the Gold Fury here, Taco. Medieval's looking to make the jump in. Bird Bomb would secure it right now, but an intelligent lead from Elevate lets it go and then confirms it as soon as the Raven shield is gone. Elevate push forward ahead 4,000.
Baronic couldn't really afford to chase Kaden there, otherwise he might have ended up getting executed. But with Checo coming right on in after that Gold Fury secured, just able to heal him up like, hey pal, you need some health? I got a little bit for you.
Right away. Look at this number. 7,000 healing for Michael Checo 16 minutes in. Usually that's an ending number for healers.
That number is only going to increase as well, considering that Medieval can't really afford to rotate at the moment. His tower is actually the one that's looking to fall down first. Bologna has been getting the better end of this solo lane trade, and because of that, Medieval isn't really able to utilize that Odin in the way that SoaR were probably imagining trying to initiate with it.
Well, I think for SoaR, I think it's more of a, all right, this hell's gonna happen, and once upon a time, hell dictated the meta in the Xbox scene or the console league scene. She never really had that huge of an impact on the side of the PC world. We did see healers come in, and Guan Yu was very popular, and hell had her moment. But on the console side of things, she ran the world. And talking to the pros, it basically came down to if you hit 20 minutes and the hell's on your team, you kind of win the game. Here, SoaR, I think, are aware that Elevate's going to go late game, and they're looking more to mitigate it. Stormy trying to mitigate the assassin jump on top of him. Ronnie coming down on top. Shaliver gets the kill onto the other mid laner. Now he's trying to save himself. Just a sliver of HP, and Checo brings it to 0. Still on the tear, looking for the opposition. Odin's going to drop the ring, and Hell's right outside of it. Kenshin gets stuck on in, but that's the Ymir that I was talking about. He just doesn't care. Follow him onto Medieval. Damage coming forward thanks to Checo. Stormy raised very low. Big hit out of Bologna, but it's not enough, Taco, and this looks like time to disengage.
Checo using his kit as much as possible, picking
Bang!
up Kaden in the back line. What a sniper shot.
Right on through traffic, except for the fact that he didn't even have to weave it. Goes right literally through the players, and then that explosion towards the end is what happens. Zaxi looking for the kill, turns around because he realizes, again, sorry to stress one character over and over again, Michael Checo, the healer, heals everybody up.
Bologna just nearly full health now, and this is a really bad situation for Medieval to be in. Now Stormy's going to end up actually being the one getting caught out, and they have to use the Odin ult just to get away.
Fantastic. I missed the numbers. Let's take a glance at the healing real quick. So it was 6,000 when we checked right before that team fight. 5K healing in a single fight. That's nuts. That's just nuts.
That's not something you ever want to try and fight into. And for SoaR right now, the primary issue is their lockdown character is Kaden on this Ao Kuang, but he's unable to find himself weaving into that back line. In that last engagement, his focus was onto the Doctor, but he might need to start switching that up to Michael Checo, because if he goes unchecked, he's just going to run right through them.
Absolutely. And when it comes down to it, Kaden right there, he has to be focusing the hell, because Medieval missed the ring, and that happens sometimes, and you know you can't. One team fight's not going to win the game, win or lose the game. So there's that at this point. That's the aim at least. But right now, if I'm on SoaR, I'm just trying to get my Sylvanas as much farm as possible to get him to level 12 to buy Curse. Cursed Ankh is the one that's going to be shutting down the healing, and I mean it is required. It's not even. It's absolutely required.
Also, definitely want to see some more anti-heal coming out of SoaR. At the moment, they're really just trying to rely entirely on this Pestilence, which early on, it can be a bit of a crutch, but right now, it's just not enough. And Kaden actually going to find himself getting picked off in that backside, and now a huge fight coming out. Kraken, absolutely devastating. Shaliber's down for the count, and Checo's just spam-laughing his life away, missing the heal onto the dock. Unfortunate, but it doesn't even make a difference. Kenshin can take that tower up, no problem. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Elevate start trying to siege down this T2.
Absolutely. It's just, the hell is incredibly effective right now, not just offensively, but also defensively with the heals, quite obviously. She's hard to catch alone thanks to the Shield of Regrowth on top of her natural movement speed gifted by the healing. And right now, the only anti-heal, like you said, is Pestilence, which is an abysmal 25%. Dr. L, again, he's a sniper too. We're seeing long-range shots from Elevate. Pestilence is a bad anti-heal item. It's just not enough anti-heal. And one of the issues for SoaR, hindsight's 2020, right? The fact that they don't have a traditional jungler, but they have a magician jungler, is kind of problematic, because Brawlers, as great as an item as it is, you don't have that option. Medieval can buy it, but he doesn't have any long-range abilities. You ideally want the Brawlers for like a monkey bounce or a hammer toss to be able to toss it out from a distance, but nobody can really buy it on SoaR to make it effective.
And even if Kaden were to opt into building that Divine Ruin as a all-in kind of character, being Ao Kuang, you don't want to be the one trying to consistently proc off that Divine, so that pressure kind of just falls onto Shaliver. But it looks like his next item, he's taking more of a pen defend direction rather than an anti-healing one, and that's just going to continue making things more difficult for SoaR, really.
Honestly, for Shalber, you can't even knock, because so on a character like Zhang Kui,
You just can't.
Divine Ruin's actually, it's a fantastic item because he's going to be able to hit multiple people. But right now in the build, 4th item, you can't.
You can't afford to build it.
He has to be the damage dealer. Because Sylvanas, I mean, obviously Sylvanas isn't going to do it. Apollo has a very specific set of damage, right? Odin's just out there 667ing. He's not doing anything really. And Kaden is going to be your blow-up guy. So where does your consistent AoE damage come from? It's Shalber. He literally needs to pen right now. He can't afford to build a Divine Ruin. So I think it's easy for a lot of armchair coaches to, oh, Zaxi. He's going to be in so much trouble. Oh, he's going to be in so much trouble. Every sort of CC is on him. He just saves him for a moment, but Michael Checo puts number 4 in his kill column. Together, a part of 9 out of 10 kills is our Hell player here. But just real quick, tying up what I was saying, it's easy for a lot of armchair coaches to say, just buy the anti-heal. But SoaR is in a position where they kind of can't.
And unfortunately for them, their main anti-heal is coming out now when all the damage is gone. Huge Kraken coming out, but Shaliver's on the opposite end of his team, and now he's going to fall down.
Great play coming out from SoaR, just not enough at the moment. He jumps in, grabs almost everybody in the ring, and like you said, that's at the point where the healing just isn't needed. Baronic picks up the double kill while he's zoning. Really what you want to see Medieval drop that ring is halfway through the team fight. You bring the players down low, they need healing, down comes the ring, and they're just like, oh no, I can't do the thing that I do, and then they fall over dead. 20,000 healing for Hell right now, 23 minutes into this game. And, well, when it comes down to it, I think that is the single thing you want to look at when you want to ask who's winning this one. 20K.
It's a lot of gold to be behind, and we've talked about it before. We've seen it happen in previous games, but when you see the healer composition start to run away with things, it's bad enough when they're even on the playing field, but once they get that lead, that's really all that a healer comp needs. As long as they stay grouped together, which Checo has done an excellent job of just staying alongside of his team the entire time, even when they're getting trapped a couple of players or so inside of that Odin ring, it's just, there's no real way for them to follow it up. He's got enough CDR to just spam his heal consistently throughout these team fights, and right now, SoaR just not really, they don't really have an answer for this at the moment.
That's the problem. Right now we're paused. SoaR looking up what items reduce healing. They just figured it out, so we're going to get it back in the game. Right now, though, Elevate seem to figure out how to take out this mid lane Phoenix. It's going to go down pretty easy, and just like a typewriter, from left to mid to right, they're just going to take out these birds. Easy peasy. You know, I was talking about the healing. I said 20K. And then you said, wow, that's a lot of gold. And I said, yeah, she's wrong. She's not wrong. It's almost 20,000 gold in the lead. When did this, I mean, this just got very out of hand very quickly. SoaR is a talented squad, but you know what it comes down to? SoaR was one of the best teams in the SMITE console league. You know what I think the turning point was?
The turning point was probably when they tried to take up that engagement.
No, I mean total big picture for SoaR.
Big picture?
Yeah.
You hit me with it.
They lost aggro. They lost their mid laner.
Did you know he used to be on a team with El Chapo?
Oh, did you know he used to be on a team with El Chapo?
Yeah, did you?
I had no clue.
I mean, I just remembered right now. He actually just reminded both of us.
Aggro used to be on a team with El Chapo, who now plays on the PC side of things. I can hear Aggro running down the hallway ready to hit us, so we're going to move on here. Portal Demon goes down to Elevate. Frenzy's popped, and this Fire Giant is as much a member of Elevate's team as Michael Checo himself. Everybody's going to get the orange belts around their waists, and as we hit 25 minutes on the clock, Elevate looking to make their final push. If SoaR wind up defensively stopping this, they win the game in my heart.
Checo is 4-0-8. There's only 13 kills on the side of Elevate. Yeah. He is top player damage. He has healed his team for nearly 25,000, 23K player healing. And according to Matty Pocket Math, you have to combine both of those two numbers together. So this man is almost at 40K player damage pretty much. and he's absolutely fragging right now.
Absolutely. Right now, Checo's actually in some trouble. Can he get out of there? Still stuck in the ring. Dr. L handed him out, gets the kill on a Stormy Rays. Michael Checo walks right on through the wall, thanks to the Phantom. Trying to heal up, gets it, but there's Kenshin picking up one as well. Shouts to the grandpa. 16 in total for Elevate. And they're going to seep into the throne room, and this one is done! 25 minutes or 26 as we pass it. Checo cleans one up before the end. 4-0 and 10. 16 kills in total for the entire